Blueprints is hard, so let's make it harder. Can you reach room 46 without green rooms, or purple rooms, or red rooms? How about only drafting blue rooms? The cool thing about these challenges is it gave me a deep appreciation for the mechanics of the game. One might say that I have the blueprints for blueprints. Okay, so the rules were simple. If a color was banned, that means I could never draft it. If I was forced to by the game, I'd Alt F4 and restart the day. I liked the extra difficulty, and it also means perfect proof. My room directories were empty and so satisfying to flip through. Though, of course, you can always find proof on my live stream VODs as well. Also, please be aware that I use some tactics in this video that are pretty big spoilers, so maybe watch this once you've really sinked your teeth into blueprints. Challenge number 1, no green rooms. So right off the bat, this challenge had no conservatory, which is the most notable change. You also lose 2 antechamber levers between the greenhouse and the secret garden. No green rooms also means less gem generation, but also more gems to spend on other things. And shovel may as well not even be an item. I got pretty excited in this run to see Cloister as my upgrade disc. If you didn't know, Cloister has like 8 different possibilities you can upgrade to, and the Cloister of Draxus is a really interesting one. This not only removes the 3 gem cost, but it also becomes a red room, meaning I could actually draft it. There's even the meme Cloister of Orinda, which can be useful since it transforms into black instead of green, but alas, no such luck for me. My Cloister remained green. This run was so easy that I almost won on day 3. I had a pool and a boiler room online, but unfortunately, instead of finding pump room, we pulled a furnace. But hey, at least it was an infinite key furnace. That's a fun quirk if you didn't know. Swapping the power lines back and forth in the boiler room lets you get another furnace key over and over again. So as long as you can burn steps, you can have infinite keys. But yeah, this challenge took me about 2.5 hours. Time for something way harder, like challenge number 2, no purple rooms. Here's something I've always suspected about blueprints, but can finally confirm. Steps don't matter until they matter. And even by banning all the purple bedrooms, steps really didn't matter. Apple orchard, dining room, and random fruit were more than enough. Also, there aren't any antechamber levers in purple rooms, so that's pretty helpful. However, what made this challenge annoying was the bedrooms themselves. They are so common, and they always found a way to mess up my drafting choices. See, green rooms were a joke because they're mostly on the wings. If you focus on the center 3 columns, you don't have to worry about them clogging up your pool. Purple rooms, on the other hand, can basically show up anywhere. Now, the funniest thing about this challenge was turning nursery into a green room. I've always been annoyed that the indoor nursery is just green and not a hybrid room. It's nice that being fully green actually had a use, and it was useful on my winning run. No purple rooms only took about 3 hours. Challenge number 3, no red rooms. Okay, this was much harder. The weight room is a favorite lever of mine, and that's no longer legit. There's tons of common red rooms, and unlike bedrooms where you don't really miss them, we had to say no to free T-shapes like chapel and gym. There was a very funny moment in this run that I'm just gonna show you. We are in the money, you guys. Okay, maybe we're not in the money. Oh my gosh, aquarium. I can't pick aquarium. Oh my gosh, please draft up. Please draft up. Please. What? What? Are you serious? What? What? Yes, somehow this winning run got shot even after rolling 7 different times. I wish I were good at this game, but I'm great at this game because you know how I beat this challenge? The throne room. Think about how valuable your gems are. We don't have the free red rooms. We actually have to pay for things like passageway and boiler room just to have a reasonable house. So dumping 5 gems into throne room is the kind of flex that's worthy of a red prince becoming a blue prince. And overall, the no red room challenge took about 4 hours. But speaking of the blue prince, challenge number 4, only blue rooms. Holy cow! This was a ridiculous challenge that had tons of ramifications. No shops means my coins are only useful at the shrine. No conservatory means good luck finding blue rooms. Tomb is a black print. Unfortunately, that's banned. In fact, almost every antechamber lever was banned. The single blue one, the mechanarium, has to be added to your deck, and that requires a power hammer and pump pump room manipulation to even obtain it, let alone the trials of Hercules you have to solve to make the lever door even appear inside of it. And gems became a precious resource with so few ways to get more of them. In fact, one of my best choices that I had was upgrading my early storeroom to have an extra gem instead of an extra key. That was massive. Remember my rules, how I'd reset if I had to break the challenge? I ended up resetting over 50 times in this 12-hour slugfest. Because my days were short and therefore my progress was so stunted, something as simple as drafting observatory was good enough to call it a day. Making it to the garage with a utility closet was grueling. There's not that many common T-shaped blue rooms, meaning it's not that easy to branch your way over to the west, but opening up the outside is massive. There are 4 different blue rooms out there and they're all useful. The worst one is shelter. We like it because we don't have to reset. You can also profit a gem once you've solved the time lock puzzle. I was dumb and didn't think of this. I forgot that saves stay open now, so solving it one time means that you'll have the free gem forever, but it's okay. Shelter days honestly don't last that long. The next best one is the shrine. Our days are short, so unfortunately blessings don't go very far. It was fun getting a single allowance and tossing it in there every now and then for a dancer blessing. If you didn't know, the same amount of coins always gives the same blessing, so 1 coin gives you a few days of the dancer. Our chat speculated that blessing of the tinkerer would be extremely useful. That one lets you trigger lab experiments off of gear rooms, but we never managed to get to 11 coins to test it. Now the next best blue room on the outside is the tool shed, and let me tell you, it's a huge leap in quality. Not only do we get great items like metal detector and sledgehammer, this is the place on my run to find a gear wrench. This special item lets you adjust the rarity of any mechanical room that you draft. That's utility closet, boiler room, workshop, pump room, laboratory, utility closet, security, and heck, if you're lucky, even mechanarium or the electric eel aquarium. Are you noticing a trend here? These are all blue rooms. We are so desperate to pad our deck with blue rooms that it's quite fortunate that these rooms are also good. We got a powered lab way earlier than we had any right to. A common workshop meant power hammer and burning glass were eventually trivial to assemble. What was not trivial is actually drafting these uncommon to rare rooms to actually use the wrench on. That's why I ended up code checking the wrench for most of the game. This was a real debate, mind you. Code check isn't so common that we can reliably see it on our very short days, while tool shed is fairly consistent. Storing away the wrench means that our tool shops can't ever spawn another one, but I stand by this choice, and that is because of the final blue outer room, the schoolhouse. I don't know about you, but I'm not normally excited by this room. Yes, it can be helpful in the main game, but there are some very powerful outer rooms that you'd prefer to draft over it. Well, in this only blue challenge, school is king. Not only do we flood our deck with blue classrooms, but each of those rooms lets us dig for even more blue. That's why the code check was so important. I can have a wrench from the tool shed, but good luck ever finding a boiler room to use it on. With schoolhouse, I can draft on a wing to get my code check wrench, then I can aggressively dig for mechanical rooms to make common. Also, every time I drafted the schoolhouse, I saw an early library. That's another blue room. It's a drafting room to buff the classroom rerolls, and you could dig for spicy rooms like gallery. That surprised me to encounter because I always assumed that gallery spawns after reaching room 46, but apparently it can also spawn after day 46. This fact and the schoolhouse library spawns were new news to me, so hopefully that info helps you out. Another strong point is that classrooms have apples in them. The steps are sometimes relevant, but the real treat here is laboratory experiments. I managed to farm tons of stars by eating apples, and that was massive. As you can probably suspect, stars are hugely important. If you don't know, once you hit 50 stars, you gain the ability to burn stars for rerolls. There's no limit to these as long as you have stars. Inkwell is probably the only way that this challenge is even possible, though I'd also give that nod to the wrench as well. Holy cow, it is very rough in the early game before you can make more blue rooms common. Now, I mentioned the mechanarium, which is the only blue antechamber lever. However, there is another way to reach room 46, and it's a fairly big spoiler, so please be warned. There's a sundial by the apple orchard. You need a burning glass to make marks on it, and then you have to rotate the 2 circles to match indents. This will let you insert 3 microchips, which will unlock the satellite dish. Now you can access powerful lab experiments, and you can even choose which inputs and outputs you like. One of these outputs is opening a random antechamber door. Now, you don't know which door has opened, but this experiment can even open up the north door, which is where room 46 is. There was a day that I almost succeeded with this, but I threw hard. Basically, I thought I could burn my stars to roll a trophy room. Remember, gems are really important, but I had just imported trophy data that very same day. Because of this, I wasn't sure if trophy room was even in my draft pool, since that's a requirement to see it. And based on my anecdotal experience not seeing it after tons and tons of rerolls, it does seem like you have to wait at least one day after importing trophy data, so I crashed out. But not long after that, I did get a genuine win, and it was the old-fashioned way with the Mechanarium. The combined powers of Gear Wrench, Schoolhouse Classrooms, and a very powerful Inkwell with over 80 burnable stars proved that Simon P. Jones is indeed the bluest prince. This challenge took me 78 in-game days because, again, I was so desperate to make any sort of genuine progress. You get so tired resetting after resetting it. Sometimes I thought that this was basically a shiny Pokemon challenge, but again, I have to say, despite it being rough, it was extremely satisfying to browse through my beautiful room directory and to laugh at 78 houses that are absolutely ridiculous. We just beat Dare mode with 8 dares, by the way, so I'm looking for new challenge runs to stream. If that sounds fun to you, post your best ideas and come join our Discord. I'm Scoutmaster Demi. Thanks for caring for our community, and I'll see you around the campfire.